At our gender reveal party, my husband's phone rang. "Baby, I miss you," a woman's voice said. Stunned, I stared at him as he snatched the phone away. His sister grabbed my hand and whispered, "Check the cake." Confused, I cut into it and found a hidden envelope. My husband's jaw dropped as I pulled out the photos. I wish I could say I didn't see it coming, that I was blindsided, that my life was perfect before this moment. But the truth? The truth is, there had been signs. Small things. Little red flags I ignored because I was in love. Because I was pregnant. Because I wanted so badly for my life to be what I thought it was. But nothing prepares you for the moment the illusion shatters. We were at his parents' house in Austin, Texas. Ryan's mom had gone all out, decorating the backyard with pastel pink and blue streamers. A big, he or she, let's see, banner hung over the dessert table. I was 7 months pregnant, wearing a light blue dress because I felt like I was having a boy, even though we didn't know yet. Friends and family filled the yard, laughing, drinking, celebrating. My parents had flown in. His parents were beaming. His older sister, Lily, stood by my side. And Ryan? He was acting normal. At least, he seemed to be. The cake was set on the table, a big white frosted one, custom-made with a hidden center to reveal our baby's gender. I held the knife, ready to cut it, my heart pounding with excitement. Then Ryan's phone rang. Not a normal ring. A specific ringtone. One I had never heard before. His phone was sitting face up on the table. We both saw the name light up at the same time. "Babe," for a split second, neither of us moved. The world slowed. Then he lunged for the phone like his life depended on it. I wasn't even thinking, I just reacted. My hand shot out, grabbing his wrist before he could silence it. The call was still coming through. And then, before I could say a word, the call connected. Loud, clear. "Baby, I miss you. When are you coming over?" A woman's voice. Soft, sweet, familiar. The entire yard went dead silent. I felt every eye on me. My mother's sharp intake of breath. The way my father straightened, his jaw tightening. I heard Lily whisper my name, but it felt distant. Ryan's face turned ghost white. His fingers fumbled over the phone as he ended the call, shoving it into his pocket like that would somehow erase what had just happened. His mother, his own mother, whispered, "Oh my God." I stared at him. My heart was beating so hard I thought I might pass out. Then Lily grabbed my hand. Her grip was tight, urgent. "Check the cake," she whispered. For a second, I didn't understand. The cake? What did that have to do with anything? But the look in her eyes, she knew something. I turned back to the cake. My hands were shaking as I pressed the knife into the frosting. I cut down the middle, pulling the two halves apart. And there, buried inside the cake, was an envelope. A plain white envelope, sealed. Ryan made a choke sound. A mix between a gasp and a plea. I felt his hand grab my arm, trying to stop me. "Don't." His voice was raw, desperate. Lily shoved him back. Hard. "Let her open it." I picked up the envelope, my fingers barely able to tear it open. My stomach was in knots. Inside, photos. One after another. Ryan, with a woman. Not just one woman. Multiple women. Different places. Different dates. Hotels. Restaurants. An airport. One of them was from last week. My breath caught in my throat. My vision blurred. I heard someone whisper, "Holy shit." Ryan snatched the photos from my hands, but it was too late. Everyone had seen them. His parents. My parents. Our friends. My mother let out a sharp, angry breath. My father stepped forward, looking seconds away from knocking Ryan out cold. Ryan's mother, his own mother, looked at him with pure disgust. But it was Lily who spoke first. She turned to me, her voice shaking with anger. "I found out last week," she said. "I wasn't sure how to tell you. I had a PI follow him. I wanted proof. I told the baker to put the envelope in the cake." Ryan's mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for air. "I can explain," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. I laughed. A hollow, broken laugh. "Explain?" I repeated. "Explain what, exactly? That you've been screwing other women while I'm home, pregnant with your child? That you let me stand here, smiling, celebrating our family, knowing you were living a lie?" His hand shot out like he was going to grab mine. I jerked away from him so fast I nearly lost my balance. "No," I said, my voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. "Don't touch me." His father, who had been silent this entire time, stepped forward. "You're a disgrace," he said, his voice cold. Ryan swallowed hard. "Dad, please, no." His mother shook her head. "Don't. You did this. You don't get to beg now." Ryan turned back to me, his eyes wild. Desperate. I could see it now. The fear, the realization that he had lost control of the situation. That the truth was out. "Please," he whispered. I didn't answer. Because I already knew. This was the end. I just didn't know how it would end yet. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The weight of it all, the betrayal, the humiliation, the sheer audacity of it, sat in my chest like a rock. Ryan kept looking at me, like he thought if he stared hard enough, I'd magically forget what just happened. Like I'd pretend his phone didn't ring, that the photos in my hand didn't exist, that my whole pregnancy, my whole marriage, wasn't one big lie. But then, something shifted. Maybe it was the way I stood there, silent, refusing to cry. Maybe it was the fact that no one was stepping in to save him. But Ryan's panic melted into something else. Anger. Like he was the one who had been wronged. Okay, fine, he snapped, dragging a hand through his hair. Yeah, I messed up. But this. He gestured to the cake, to the photos, to the stunned crowd around us. This is crazy, Lily. You really had to humiliate me in front of everyone. Lily let out a sharp laugh. You humiliated yourself. Ryan ignored her. He turned back to me. Babe, can we just don't? My voice was steady. Too steady. The kind of calm that meant something inside me had snapped. Don't call me that. Don't talk to me like I'm some idiot who's gonna let this slide. He flinched. His lips pressed into a tight line. Then, just as quickly, he turned defensive again. You don't understand, he said, his voice rising. You don't know what it's like to be under all this pressure, I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. Pressure? Pressure? I have been puking every morning for months while you were out screwing God knows who, I said, my voice shaking. I have been stretching my body, preparing to push out a human being while you were off playing single. I have been planning a future, our future, while you were throwing it away. Ryan's jaw clenched. He looked at the ground, breathing hard. Then a voice cut through the silence. He's lying to you. It wasn't Lily this time. It was the voice of another woman. A voice I recognized instantly. I turned toward the back of the yard, my stomach twisting. A woman was standing there, just outside the crowd. She had dark brown hair pulled into a ponytail, wearing ripped jeans and a tight tank top. Rachel, Ryan's ex-girlfriend. The woman he swore he hadn't spoken to in years. The woman he hated, apparently. The woman who just called him baby on the phone. The yard felt like it was spinning. I heard gasps. Whispers. Ryan? Ryan looked like he was about to be sick. Rachel took a slow step forward. You want to tell your wife the truth, Ryan? She asked, tilting her head. Or should I? Ryan's hands curled into fists. His eyes darted between me and her, like he was weighing his options. And then? He did what I never expected. He ran. Literally. He turned on his heel, bolted past the guests, and ran through the house like a damn criminal making a prison break. For a second, nobody moved. Then Lily snapped out of it first. Are you kidding me? She yelled, taking off after him. His father, who had been standing in absolute disgust, shook his head, muttered, cowered, and turned away. And me? I just stood there. I stared at Rachel, who was staring right back at me. Neither of us spoke. But we both knew this wasn't over. I didn't know what to do. People were still staring, whispering. The cake sat there ruined, the photos scattered across the table. My parents were frozen in shock, his parents looked mortified, and Lily had just chased Ryan through the house. And then there was Rachel. Rachel, standing there like a landmine, waiting to go off. My heart pounded. How long? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel crossed her arms. How long what? You know what I'm asking. My stomach twisted. How long has he been cheating? Rachel sighed, shifting her weight. With me? On and off for the last year. A full body chill ran through me. A year. A year while I was trying to get pregnant. A year while I was laying in bed next to him, thinking we were building a family. I swallowed hard. And with others? Rachel's expression darkened. I can only tell you what I know. But I do know one thing, I wasn't the only one. I could barely breathe. Rachel took another step forward, voice lowering. Look, I didn't know about you at first. I thought you guys were separated. That's what he told me. Then I found out the truth and I ended things. She hesitated. Then he came crawling back. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. He lied to her, too. Before I could respond, there was a loud crash from inside the house. A second later, Lily stormed back into the backyard, holding Ryan's phone high in the air like a trophy. He locked himself in the bathroom, she announced, breathing hard. But he left this on the counter like a dumbass. I wiped my sweaty palms against my dress, trying to steady myself. And? Lily's face was red with rage. And I checked his messages. A beat of silence. Then she turned the screen toward me. And my stomach dropped. It wasn't just one woman. Not even two. There were dozens. Texts. Photos. Videos. Some of them recent. Some of them from before I got pregnant. Some of them, oh God, from when I was in the hospital for pregnancy complications. The backyard spun. My knees almost gave out. Lily grabbed my arm. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I couldn't think. Couldn't breathe. Rachel peered at the phone. "Oh, wow," she muttered. "That's bad. Even for him." I pressed my fingers against my temples, trying to force myself to stay upright. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, Ryan's father, who had been silent this whole time, suddenly walked over and yanked the phone out of Lily's hand. For a second, nobody moved. Then he scrolled. And his entire face changed. It wasn't just anger. It was horror. His breathing turned ragged. His hands shook as he scrolled further and further, the screen reflecting off his glasses. Then he froze. And I swear, the blood drained from his face. His hand clenched around the phone. His knuckles turned white. And then, in a voice that didn't sound like his own, he said, "No. No, no, no. Tell me this isn't real." Lily frowned. "What? What is it?" Ryan's father lifted his eyes. His expression was something I'd never seen before, something between rage and disbelief. Then he turned the phone around. And I saw why. The screen showed a text thread. A woman's name at the top. And the last message from Ryan? "Don't worry, she'll never find out. It's not like we're related or anything." I froze. Lily sucked in a breath. Rachel took a step back. Because the name at the top of the messages, the woman he had been texting, was his father's assistant. A woman who had been working for the family for years. And judging by the way his father looked like he was about to vomit, that wasn't just any assistant. That was his mistress. I stared at the phone screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. I read the message once. Then twice. My brain refused to make sense of it. Ryan had been sleeping with his father's mistress. A woman who had been around their family for years. A woman his father had been having an affair with behind his mother's back. And now, both of their secrets were out. I felt sick. Ryan's father, normally a composed, authoritative man, was shaking. His grip on the phone was so tight I thought he might crush it. His face was red, his breathing shallow. His mother, who had been frozen in place, suddenly snapped out of it. "What?" she whispered, stepping forward. Ryan's father turned to her, his face twisted in something between shame and rage. "You knew her. You trusted her," he said hoarsely. "She was in our home," and he stopped, his mouth tightening. Then, suddenly, he turned and threw the phone. It crashed into the table, knocking over a tray of cupcakes. The yard exploded into chaos. Ryan's mother was screaming. His father was shouting back, his voice cracking with anger. The guests, our friends, our family, were stunned. People whispered, gasped, backed away. And in the middle of it all, Ryan finally stepped back outside. His face was pale. His hair was messy from whatever panic attack he had just had inside the house. His hands were still damp, probably from splashing water on his face in some pathetic attempt to pull himself together. And the first thing he saw was his father lunging toward him. "You son of a bitch." Ryan barely had time to react before his father grabbed him by the collar and shoved him back against the house. Gasps rang out. Someone yelled for them to stop. But no one moved to break it up. Because at that moment, everyone wanted Ryan to pay. "You had the nerve, to lecture me about family? About loyalty? While you were screwing the same woman I was." Ryan tried to stammer out a response. "Dad, shut up," his father roared. "Shut your goddamn mouth before I shut it for you." Ryan's mother slapped her hands over her mouth. She wasn't crying. Not yet. But she was shaking. "I knew you were a disappointment," his father spat, his voice trembling with rage. "But this? Ryan pushed against his grip. "You're no saint, either," he shot back. "You were cheating on Mom. Don't act like I'm the only bad guy here." His father's fist clenched. For a second, I thought he was actually going to punch his own son. But then he did something worse. He let go, stepped back, and looked Ryan in the eye, with pure, utter disgust. "I don't have a son," he said coldly. Ryan's whole body jerked like he had been physically hit. And just like that, his father turned and walked away. Not just from him. From everything. He walked past his wife, past the guests, past me. He kept walking until he was gone. His mother didn't follow. She just stood there. Silent. Then, finally, she turned to Ryan. And said the one thing that broke him. "I wish you had never been born." The words landed like a gunshot. Ryan opened his mouth, but nothing came out. And then, she walked away, too. And that was it. Ryan had lost everything. His parents. His family. His reputation. And now? He was about to lose me. I stepped forward. He turned to me, his eyes wide. He looked desperate now. He had lost control of everything else. I was the last thing he had left. And he knew it. "Baby," he choked out, reaching for me. "Please." I slapped his hand away so fast he flinched. Then I leaned in so close he could feel my breath. And I whispered the last words I would ever say to him. "You are dead to me." Then I turned. And I walked away. I moved out that same night. Lily helped me pack. My parents booked me a hotel. And Ryan? Ryan called. He texted. He even showed up at Lily's apartment, begging me to talk. I didn't answer. I never answered. Because I knew who he was now. And I would never let him hurt me again. The divorce was ugly. But I had all the evidence I needed. The cheating, the financial lies, the messages. I got everything in the settlement. The house? Mine. Full custody of my baby? Mine. Ryan? He was left with nothing. His father never spoke to him again. His mother moved out of state. His job? He lost it. His side chicks? They all dumped him. And Rachel? She and I became friends. Not at first. It took time. But she helped me see something important. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't weak. I was just someone who loved a monster before I knew what he really was. Now? I know better. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this: always check the cake.